ISS has been around since 1977. We ship props and weapons all over the world for television and film productions, anything that's attached to the entertainment world. We also do a little bit of law enforcement and military training with some of the inventory we've got, but that's maybe 15 to 20% of our business. Most of it is the entertainment world.
Speaking of entertainment, Hollywood Weapons? That's
Hollywood
you.
Weapons, yeah. Outdoor channel in cooperation with ISS. We're producing Hollywood Weapons. We're now going into season 3, just aired January 5th, and later this year we'll be starting on season 4. So the response has been pretty good. I think people like seeing what we're putting out there.
You guys have a winning combination, you and Terry, that just seems to flow.
You know what was really fortunate, and I'll let you in on a secret here, Terry was not the #1 choice of the co-host of the show.
I wasn't the #1 choice for this gig either.
Well, that's true. So I'm kind of feeling the same vibe here. But it worked out well. Terry got bought out to California. He and I, they basically gave us the freedom of, he and I just went out to dinner on our own, and we really do have a good chemistry.
That's what it takes.
I think it comes across in the show. Part of it is, at least I think, is because we're both professionals.
Right.
I deal with the entertainment world where you're dealing with actors that are playing a part. They maybe are not actual gun people. They've never gone and shot a real gun, and now they need to be James Bond. So there's a level of training needed, a level of supervision needed.
That can be kind of daunting.
It is very daunting, and that's only with blanks, right?
Yeah.
So when I'm on Hollywood Weapons and I'm dealing with Terry, we're dealing with everything live. So the stress level goes up a little bit,
sure.
But it's alleviated by the fact that Terry's a professional. He's been in the military, former Green Beret. He's done a lot of service for the country. He's done a lot of work with a lot of different firearms. And I know, even if he's not familiar with that firearm, if I give him the right instruction, I have a confidence in him that he'll do the right thing. He's not going to do something silly or stupid. So it's kind of worked out well. We've kind of dovetailed together well. I speak his language, he speaks my language. It's not necessarily always English, but it's the same language. And I think that, or I hope that comes across in the show, because we feel that one of the unique things about Hollywood Weapons is that we absolutely 100% are not doing anything that's fake.
No, it seems absolutely genuine. That's the neat part of the show.
Yeah, it's 100% genuine. There's no, we have a special effects supervisor, Andre Ellingson, does a great job. We bring him in when we need to blow something up for real. We're not faking the explosion. When we shoot guns, there's no blanks being fired on our set. It's all live fire. And all the other different, stunts and gags and construction works that we build, it's for real. And I think that comes across. I think that's one of the appeals of the show.
It is.
I know that one of the #1 comments that we get about the show is the viewers are just interested in all the behind the scenes kind of thing, and our whole show is behind the scenes. John and the other crew members there, they do a great job coverage-wise with their cameras. So there's always time lapse. You can see what goes into building a gag like that, and that's something that most people don't get to see.
Plus, there's a lot of, it's really good photography and editing and everything. It's well put together.
Yeah, John Carter, who's also our director, his magic is the Phantom camera, all that slow motion stuff that you see, and he's just, I don't have the words to explain the level of his technical skill on it. He's just amazing as far as that goes, and it comes across in every single shot that you see. There's some stuff coming up in season 3 that I truly believe you will have never seen before anywhere, and you're able to see it at a really high frame rate because of the magic that John and his crew work. So
and that
it's
makes
pretty cool.
Huge difference, because there's a lot of people doing some pretty cool stuff, even on YouTube, but they can't photograph it properly or present it properly, and it comes off as really lackluster when it's actually something very interesting.
Yeah, so that's another one of the things that Outdoor Channel has been very, very kind and generous to our show about. We have camera people, sound people, writers, directors, assistant directors that have all worked on other Outdoor Channel shows. So again, for me, because I'm not only part of the talent in front of the camera. I'm the main safety officer. I'm the behind the scenes armor. Everybody's wearing a lot of hats. It's a comfort to me to know that the rest of the crew are gun savvy.
Yes.
There's very little safety concerns when we film stuff. There's always safety issues and we mitigate them as needed, but I'm never worried about someone crossing the line of fire by mistake or not paying attention to the safety brief or something like that, because from top to bottom, the entire network, they're all professionals, and I think that comes across.
You know, sometimes we film out at the Brownells range, live fire, and I've noticed when I'm working with somebody that's ex-special forces or something, my stress level just goes way down. You know, I don't have to watch this guy. He's not going to turn around with a loaded gun or anything.
Exactly.
He's had people and live ammo in front of him before. He knows what he's doing.
I'll let you know a little secret. You know, I do a lot of work out on set with a lot of, you know, machine guns and belt feds, 50 cals, things like that, because that's what you want to see in the movies.
Darn right.
But anytime I go out on a job with a firearm, I actually have butterflies in my stomach. It doesn't matter who it is. Until the shot is done, production got what they wanted, everybody's safe, nobody got hurt, all the guns worked, and I'm packing up at the end of the day, I really don't relax. But even within that little bubble there, when you're dealing with someone like Terry, that is a professional, it does kind of relax just a little bit. You've got another set of eyes. Yeah, you can never really relax. You know, we're dealing with firearms, we're dealing with explosions, we're dealing with all kinds of stunts. You always have to be on your toes, but it is more comforting to be able to deal with another professional.
Right, because not everybody understands the forces they're dealing with until sometimes it's too late, you know.
Again, that's one of the things that I think the magic that Outdoor Channel has managed to bring together. Tim Kremen and Dan Ram, you know, deserve a lot of the credit for that, as do the Liberators who have given us the freedom to kind of run with the show. And I can't think of anything in the last 3 seasons that we filmed where we wanted or needed something and the answer we got was no. Okay. Which is really cool, especially. You know, we were doing this for entertainment, but it is a business. You still have to, you know, be responsible for funding and stuff like that, and we've managed to do very, very well with the budget that's made available.
It is really entertaining to watch people with this skill set being allowed to do whatever they can dream up. You know, like we'd all want to do.
Yeah,
I mean,
you know,
it's just fun.
I mean, I feel very fortunate to even, you know, be standing here talking to you because, I mean, my dream was always just learn to be a gunsmith and sit at a bench and tinker with stuff. I, of course, deal with a lot more than that now, but it is kind of the dream job, if you will.
I can believe that.
When you're dealing with other professionals within the same realm, there's a certain comfort level. Again, you kind of speak the same language. Yeah. Which is helpful. They understand you, you understand them. There's a level of respect that goes along there. And I've always felt like, you know, when you guys asked me to come and do this is what, our 3rd year now of doing this. At first, when I was asked, I was like, I'm not gonna stand in front of camera and talk. That's not me, I work behind the camera. But I've been able to do it only because I believe that if you are a professional, you have a grounded knowledge base of whatever your profession is, you should be able to stand in front of the camera and talk freely about it, because
and we don't have to pretend about anything.
Exactly. You know, don't talk to me about, you know, automobiles right now or something. I wouldn't know what to say to you, but I know how to drive them, but that's about it. But in our world here at the SHOT Show and things like that, we're dealing with professionals. It's an industry show. The people we're meeting appreciate the work that other professionals do, like on Hollywood Weapons, and I think it's cool. You know, it's really rewarding.
It's a pretty nice world to be in.
It is.
It really is.
The quality of the people in this industry is by and far some of the best people that I've met. Some people that have, you know, they're colleagues that have become close friends through the different productions we worked on. You know, you guys for sure, all the staff here at Brownells have always been very professional and kind. When you're out on set working on a big feature film as well, the actors, the directors, it's a very creative environment, and whether you're being creative at the Brownells custom shop or you're being creative out on set telling a story, you know, for the viewers to see, it's that same kind of energy, and that's really nice.
The talents that you actually have, the talents and the knowledge.
Well, my wife, who's out here in the audience, she may argue whether that's talent or not, but yeah, she, you get to, we are fortunate that we get to work in an industry where we get to do things that we enjoy, right?
Exactly.
That we're hopefully skilled at. Everybody, has that one little talent, that one little skill. One of my friends, another motion picture armor, we work a lot together, and we've always talked about it, that you either have it in your blood or you don't have it in your blood. And when you have it in your blood, no matter what the subject matter is, you bring a certain passion, to the work.
Right.
And for me, I've lived overseas most of my life. I spent time in the military. I've been through a couple conflicts, worked in law enforcement. So I've been dealing with guns all my life. My father, may he rest in peace, was a mechanical engineer that always dealt with defense contracting companies, worked for several governments. So to me, guns it's part of my life. It's my thing. And to be able to utilize, again, what my wife may or may not agree to is talent that I've accumulated over 40 years, to be able to use it in the entertainment industry where, nobody's getting hurt, we're not doing anything violent, we're doing things that bring pleasure and joy to other people. That is extremely rewarding. And I see it like, it's hard for me to watch a movie that I worked on. It's very hard. You pick out little mistakes, you're, oh man, that was that 18-hour night in the rain. I knew that wouldn't come out good. But when my children were younger, they always wanted to go see the movie that daddy worked on. So we'd go out to the movie theater and we'd watch it. And I already know the storyline. I'm not watching the movie. I know what's going to happen. And it became kind of more interesting to watch the audience watch the movie. And when you see people clapping and throwing popcorn at the screen and cheering at certain parts and everything, you realize, hey, we at ISS, we had this little bit to do with that. It's a tiny little bit in the movie. It's not the whole production, but we made that guy laugh. We made that kid, maybe want to become a gunsmith, when he grows up. To be able to have that kind of, interaction with people, especially as my wife will attest, I'm a very antisocial person. So to be able to say that I've somehow interacted with somebody else's life is really pretty cool.
It's a good thing if you can let people escape for a couple hours from their troubles, their everyday. Go somewhere else.
It's sounds like a cliche, but the term is movie magic. And it is. It's a kind of magic. You go into that room, the lights go down. For an hour and a half to 3 hours, you forget about everything else. We have different tricks and things that we do to create that magic. I'll show you a good example here. This is, I'm sure you would recognize, is a Glock 19, specifically a Gen 3, but it's a rubber Glock 19. So it's not really real. We would use that on set as what we call a firearm alternative. Actors doing stunts, or maybe they're just walking around with a handgun in their holster all day long. They don't need the real firearm, so we would use a rubber like that. If they get into a fight and I have to pistol whip you, I can make one that's squishy. I can control the density of it. And these are what professional prop makers do all day long to create that movie magic. And the audience, if the editor did a good job, the audience never knows what is being seen.
Because it's got the proper marking. Well, this was molded from a real Glock.
This is molded from a real Glock. You could read the serial number and know which gun in our inventory it was actually made off of. We have professional. They are literally artists that stand there all day long at their benches making molds of, and not just guns. Suppose I need to beat you over the head with a lead pipe.
God forbid.
It could hurt, so we'd rather do it with a rubber lead pipe, So they're true artists, and you can see that detail in these rubber guns.
So cool.
Part of the movie magic that we do at ISS.
So cool. In the old days, they just had to kind of fake pistol whipping somebody with a real gun?
For sure, they didn't have this level. In fact, in the old days, the way that you made a movie was totally different, at least as far as the firearms go. Because imagine like a Tom Mix Western from, 1921. Uberti didn't exist making reproduction Western guns at the time. So if you look real closely, you'll see Colt double actions with fake ejector rods screwed to the barrel to kind of simulate an 1873. If you watch the older Zorro and Davy Crockett, Daniel Boone television shows, you'll actually see they're all trapdoor Springfields with fake rubber flint hammers. In fact, when they fire, you can kind of see them wobble like that sometimes. Nowadays, we really can't get away with that. The level of authenticity that is required, and it's required because of the viewers. The viewers are so much more educated now, be it because of the internet or because of HD, high definition in film. It clarifies everything. I think the general viewer is much more educated than they used to be back in the day. Video games, believe it or not, are a huge boon
Call
to
of Duty teaches tons of people about different weapon systems.
And they learn, and not just silliness, right? I mean, they're learning different types of weapons. So you get an 18-year-old who's joining the military, and he's probably already got a pretty good database of military-style weapons, even though he's never touched one before.
But he knows what one looks like. He knows what it can do.
And what it can do, what the capabilities are. So I like to feel that the entertainment industry is actually contributing something to the firearms world in some small way. We like, especially on the Outdoor Channel, between gun stories, shooting gallery, Hollywood weapons. It's really nice to see shows that present gun ownership in a positive light.
Right. And 20 years ago, there was almost nothing on it.
There was almost nothing,
firearms.
The Outdoor Channel, Sportsman's Group, and all that, they deserve a huge amount of credit for creating that whole viewer industry that revolves around outdoor and firearms and hunting, bows and arrows, things like that. So it's a great collaboration.
Oh yeah, because there was a whole segment of the population being ignored, by the entertainment industry because they didn't think they'd want technical shows about firearms or about shooting or about
And it wasn't any
competition.
malice or anything like that.
No.
I just think it was a lack of understanding of that there's a viewership out there that would actually, I mean, I never would have thought that a whole show about a guy sitting in a boat fishing would have been something that would fly, because I'm not a fisherman. But there's different segments of the population. They all want their magazines. They all want their own television shows. They all want their own podcasts or whatnot. And that's how people get information nowadays, Instagram and YouTube videos and things like that. So there's also a certain responsibility on our part, I think, as the industry, that when you're putting this stuff out there, you need to do it in a professional, competent way that shows everything in a very good light. And hopefully we're successful in doing that.
Well, they used to have the old code where the good guy always won at the end of the movie. The bad guy always got his punishment.
Yep. Nowadays, I'm not sure you
It's
can
a little
tell.
more ambiguous.
I'm not sure you can even tell who the good guys and bad guys are anymore. Sometimes you go and you watch a movie and you're cheering for the lesser of the two bad guys, right? Because they're both bad guys. But the main thing to remember is this is entertainment. Nobody's getting shot, God forbid, on a movie set. It's all about doing things safely, mechanically on a movie set. You'd be surprised. If I was, in the military or in law enforcement, and this was a real Glock 19, I would be trained to use it if I had to.
Sure.
And if there was a malfunction, I would clear the malfunction right away and continue with the fight. On a movie set, you might have special effects explosions going off, helicopters flying overhead, things like that. And if the firearm malfunctions, you've just ruined that whole take. And it could take hours or days to reset that. Yeah. So we almost strive for more dependability, more reliability in a blank firing gun that was never designed to do that than you do in the real world, because you can't always train an actor to clear a malfunction and keep going. So it does get very technical. Technologies like this rubber technology that we actually invent ourselves. There's no place to go to learn it. It's very much on-the-job training kind of thing. But it does come out looking right if you get professionals from top to bottom, whether it's the on-set armor, whether it's the wardrobe people, the makeup people, the directors. When you get that right kind of magic in a bottle, that lightning strike in a bottle, it comes across to the viewers, and that's what they appreciate.
So depending on the script, you might have a blank firing Model 19, and then a backup to that and a backup to that for firing blanks. Then you might have this lighter one because it gets dropped in one scene. And then for the pistol whipping scene, you would have
Exactly.
the rubber one.
So in the prop world, we have a saying that is, if you have one, you have none.
Oh.
We don't do one of anything in the film industry. There's always doubles, duplicates, backups. Imagine, if you will, so we have a character with one gun. It's a Glock 19. We actually have different levels of blanks, a half, a quarter, a full, different noise levels. For specific scenes, you may need the different guns. So, for instance, we did a movie years back called Collateral. It was basically the story of one man with one gun. We had 6 of them every night out on set. And then you could have what we call a split unit, where a stunt double is filming somewhere else, but he's playing the same character as the star. So now you need 12 of those guns, because of all the different locations and things like that. And then you need the rubbers and replicas. So as a good on-set armorer, as a professional, you don't say, hey, I'm going out to set, I need a Glock 19, I'll take 2 of them. You basically go out and say, I'm going on set, I'm taking my whole bag of tricks.
Sure.
I'm taking rubbers, I'm taking replicas, I'm taking doubles, I'm taking everything that I need to take with me. A good example of a good armorer, for instance, is when you fire blanks. They look like blanks. If you looked at the shell casing, you can see a little crimp opened up and it looks like a blank. But what do you do if they want to show an insert shot of empty shell cases on the ground? You need real empty shell cases. If you didn't bring them with you, nobody else on set has it. It's the on-set armorer's responsibility to have that. So you got to think about all those things, and it's a big bag of tricks that you just take out on set.
Are you responsible for the safety of the people shooting the blank guns as far as hearing protection or anything like that?
Yeah, so on a movie set or television set, the main safety officer is the first AD, the first assistant director. However, when it comes to firearms, the on-set armorer outranks the assistant director.
I'm glad to hear that.
The armorer is the last person handing off the firearm to the actor. They are responsible for all aspects of anything that occurs with that firearm. And it's taken us a while, but there's now a developing kind of attitude in the industry that they're realizing that. So we have professional armorers that we're sending out on shows now where the show only requires a rubber gun.
Oh boy.
But because the production wants to be careful and professional, they want the actor trained the right way, they want everything to look correct, the armorer then becomes almost a technical advisor for the film.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So yeah, it's a lot of responsibility. It's kind of like being either a special effects coordinator or a stunt coordinator. Those are the 3 people, along with the fire marshal, that can actually say no to the production, because you know, if you do something wrong with wardrobe, nobody's getting hurt. If you do something wrong with the script, nobody's getting hurt. But effects, stunts, and armory, if something isn't done correctly, there's the chance of people getting injured or worse, and that, of course, is not our goal. And that's why you need the right people in the right position at the right time.
And every movie has its dangers of some kind, whether it's a driving scene or a fight scene or, you know.
I mean, we're here at SHOT Show, there's over 60,000 people wandering around here. You could sprain your ankle going down the escalator, right? So when you're dealing with something like an on-set situation with explosions, helicopters, boats, cars screeching by, there is a little bit more of a potential danger.
And that set isn't static a lot of times either. They're moving things around and
all the time. The one thing, we kind of call it controlled chaos. When you're on a set, I swear to you, if you came out onto set, and you're always welcome to come out and visit us, if you came out on set and saw how a movie actually gets made, you would sit there scratching your head going, how does it ever make it to screen? There's so many moving parts happening all at the same time that it's just crazy. But that is that movie magic we talked about.
I'm sure. I mean, everything has to come together at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, in that vein, I mean, at your place, ISS, everything has to come together from many directions. You've got a lot of people working on a lot of different things at the same time. Yeah. Going in all directions. Who runs herd on all that? So, you know, Independent Studio Services is actually a family-owned business that has several sub-companies. For instance, weapons would be ISS Rentals. This rubber gun would be made by our manufacturing
segment, which is called Studio Art and Technology. So just something as simple as, I'm going to rent you a Glock 19 for your production, right? But you know you need a rubber to go along with it. Well, I got to go over to SAT now. And how many generations of Glocks are there now? We got to make sure that the rubber one is the same generation as the real one. Then you go over to rentals, because they have the holsters. You got to make sure you get the right holster for the actor. Here's a good one. Is he left-handed or right-handed?
Sure.
You don't know that. Sometimes you don't find out until the very night you're on set. So you got to go out with both of them. So for us in the weapons department and the rest of the rental company, those are the kind of things that we deal with. So people don't realize it, because we always say, if we do our job right as a prop person on set, you're never going to know we were there. We're like a program on a computer that runs in the background. Everything's working, but you never know that it's there.
Ideally.
You have the wrong gun on the wrong movie. You know, you've got some gun that came out in 1878 and it's a Civil War movie. This is bad, right? So that's what we do. That's why we're professionals. And you can see that in different shows. Sometimes the story's good, but it's like, man, that car didn't exist in the 1930s, and it just ruins it.
Right.
That's
It
one of the
takes
reasons my
you
wife
out.
doesn't like going to the movies with me. It's like, hey, that's a wrong gun. That didn't exist during that battle. They didn't have that till the Pacific campaign. And she's like, let it go, just watch the movie. But we're professionals, right? We can't. Those are the kind of things that stand out.
That's getting rarer and rarer to see that, though. To see a obvious mistake like that these days.
And again, I think it's the realization within the film industry. Even the directors, they themselves are more educated now about the subject matter. They're not just, oh, I'm just telling a story. No, if you're telling a story about military, you have to have the right equipment. We take it very seriously at ISS that if you're working on a film that's a historical event, something really happened, a battle or something, it's our responsibility to make sure that all that equipment is correct. I mean, people, God forbid, people went out and died in the service of the country or whatever. You're telling the story of what happened. It needs to be correct.
Right.
So if you're noticing that, then it means we're doing our job correctly.
Sure.
And that's pretty cool.
I mean, you don't want Tom Hanks in Saving Private Ryan to have a Glock on his hip or something. That just ruins everything.
I've seen some things, that's all I can say, but I won't go any further than that.
Okay. So you guys have been growing steadily over all these years. You've seen a lot of changes just since you've been in the game.
For sure.
I mean, where's it going?
Well, I think that we're on an upward curve. Like I said, the education level of viewers, the education level of the industry itself is just getting better and better and better. That's one of the reasons that I don't mind critique. You know, if someone sees something that was a mistake and they point it out online, if they're correct, take it as a learning experience. Don't worry about some guy who's, you know, heckling you or something like that, because we always strive to be better. And within independent studio services, that is something that the whole company strives for. So hopefully it's nothing but a continued upward climb. It's third generation company at this point. Greg Jr. is running the company right now, but his son Hayden is taking over the daily running of the business and everything. And he's got grandchildren that are actually working at the company right now that at some point would grow into that position. So it's a very unique place within a very unique industry. It's pretty cool.
And you and your team, you've got a lot of veterans on that team as far as they've seen about everything that's going to come down the pike.
I try to stay away from words like always and everything.
Sometimes, maybe.
But yeah, I mean, we see most things. And again, when you come up against a situation that you're not familiar with, that's where it's a learning experience. We have only 9 people in the weapons department, believe it or not. And on a good year, ISS probably puts out 75 to 80% of all firearms that you see on television, movies, commercials, anything like that. So that small group of people gets a lot of experience very, very quickly. Some of them have military experience. Some of them have more film experience. Some of them have just gravitated towards it, But again, it's always with a passion. That's why they wound up in the weapons department. Even within ISS, getting pulled out of rentals and getting assigned into the weapons department is kind of like a step up. You got put, into the jewels. So
Nice.
we're very, very fortunate.
Do you get a lot of requests for guns that don't exist, that they have this concept and they want something that nobody's seen before?
For sure, that happens all the time. Every director, they have a vision, and as prop people, that's our job to put that vision, up on the screen for the director. And sometimes you have to build things that don't exist. Sometimes it's a sci-fi type weapon where we'll take a real firearm and build, we call it prosthetics, but it's basically a shell that goes around it. Because the experience for the actor of having that recoil in their hand, having the weight in their hand of the real gun, helps sell what they're doing on camera. If it's just a rubber gun and you're going like that, you might as well just point your finger and not, have a real firearm. So we build a lot of inventive stuff. In addition, because we are a gun dealer like any other gun dealer, we don't have any exemptions. We're not, Hollywood gets a pass. We're not. We have to follow all the rules. So, for instance, the PS90, when it first came out, it was a great gun and everything, but you couldn't get any of them here.
That's true.
And so we took Mac 11s and we built a shell around it that looked like a P90 until we were able to get those guns when they became available. So the creativeness, it's good for the viewer, but it's also good for us sometimes.
That must have taken a little bit of effort.
Yeah, I usually keep my hair short so that you don't see the silver that's starting to grow in, but all the gray hairs is, long hours at the shop, lots of missed weekends. Just the other day, I was flying to Georgia on a job. It was January 7th. It was our 30th wedding anniversary, mine and my wife's, and I was on a plane flying to Georgia to work. And God bless her, she understands because it's work. You can't hold up a production that's got 200 people. It's on a time schedule. Doesn't matter about holidays. Doesn't matter about weekends. Doesn't matter about kids. Parties. It is a business. And if you want to be sharing in the creativity of it, you have to kind of give your whole to it.
Yeah, there's no stopping.
There's no middle ground.
No.
Yeah.
Wow. I understand you're going to hang out in the booth for a while and sign autographs and talk with people.
I don't know if I'm going to sign autographs, but you've been
famous.
I think infamous is the way it's pronounced. But Brownells has been kind enough to ask me to hang around here for a little bit, so I'll be here in the booth for a little bit longer.
Cool. Thanks
Steve,
for coming by.
Thank you. It's always a pleasure.
Let's do this again next year.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Right.
Hopefully you enjoyed this.
All of you, thank you very much for watching. We'll see you later on.